Warlocks are my favourite class, and that's probably what 90% of other people can say about any favourite class in D&D, because you can make a Warlock a billion different ways, and Hexblade is one of the many ways that you can fashion them. I have a game where someone's playing a Hexblade right now, and they are super fun to work with. Hello and welcome to Subclass. We have a name for it now, even though it's shit, and we'll try and make a better one. Do the comment down below and tell us what we should name it, because we were gonna go with saucy subclasses, but went against that. So please give us better recommendations, or if you like saucy subclasses, please go ahead and tell us so that I can have it back. Please, I want saucy subclasses back. Today we're talking about the Hexblade, which is a subclass for Warlock. This is one of the cool-ass classes where you get your subclass at level uno, because that's the whole roleplay thing about it. The only reason that you're a Warlock is because you take a pact, and your subclass as a Warlock is said pact. The Hexblade in particular is stated to be an entity from the Shadowfell. I have never seen anyone use an entity from the Shadowfell as a Hexblade. It allows you to basically fashion it as any sort of cursed weapon slash a weapon that gives the user arcane abilities. A great example of this is, I fucking hate to say it because I'm gonna steal off Critical Role, but have you ever seen Ford? Uk'otoa is not a Shadowfellian creature, it's Lovecraftian almost. It's a sea leviathan wanting to be awoken, which I think is a very cool flavour of it. My Hexblade Warlock, Lora Frostwalker, played by James. I'll reveal some level of his backstory here. His patron is just the Blizzard, which is an entity that embodies the cold regions of Icewind Dale and that surrounding area in the Forgotten Realms that me and him sort of worked together to create. I'm not going to reveal too much about it because that's going to be revealed in our actual play series that by the time this video goes up has been going on for quite a while. Who knows, maybe he's dead. We'll see. But yeah, you can fashion this in a lot of different ways. Now that we're done talking about roleplay, let's get on to gameplay mechanics. Warlocks get about 4 or 5, depending on which subclass you choose, abilities going down the list from 1st, 6th, 10th to 14th. Very balanced mix apart from the cleric. To start off with, this is one of the subclasses that gives you an expanded spell list. Unlike the cleric, where you will always have these set spells prepared, these are just additional spells that are added to your Warlock spell list so that you can take them at levels that you would normally not be able to. For example, 1st level spell, you want to take Shield. Oh wait, that's not on the Warlock spell list. It is now if you pick their Hexblade Warlock. You'll also get Wrathful Smite as an option for 1st level. Shield is basically a reaction +5 to your AC until the start of your next turn, which early game, fucking amazing. With a Warlock, it gets shit the moment you become 3rd level. You do not want to waste your whole spell slot just to not get hit by one attack. Shield is better for if you're completely surrounded and know that a +5 AC to your already should be okay AC if you're a Hexblade Warlock, which you'll realise in a second why. However, the start for a Hexblade Warlock is kind of difficult. I had James, the main reason that he wanted to start with a fighter dip is because then he gets fighter starting equipment so that he can take the actual stuff that makes a Hexblade effective. At 3rd level, you'll have access to 2 extra spells, Blur and Branding Smite. You'll notice that the Hexblade Warlock gets smites, so they become some kind of a flavoured paladin, which is really fun to work with. Bonus action, you make your weapon go in a different way. Branding Smite is a big old fiery... It's sick. At 5th level, you'll have access to Blink and Elemental Weapon. Blink is basically, I disappear and then reappear over there and then do the things and then disappear again and then reappear. And it's not just, oh, I go invisible. It's literally you go into the ethereal plane, I believe. So you're just untouchable, which is neat. Elemental Weapon gives you extra little damage buffs and type resistance immunity bypasses. I'm not 100% sure. Might have to check on that. 7th level, you'll have access to Phantasmal Killer and Staggering Smite. So many smites, so many smites. And then at 5th level, you'll have the best smite other than Divine Smite, which is Banishing Smite, where basically if you deal damage with this smite and it brings someone below 50 hit points, they pop, disappear like you just casted Banishment on them. Watch Banishment to figure out how the hell that mechanic works. You'll also get Cone of Cold, which is just 60-foot cone of 10d6 cold damage, which is fucking insane, and I love it. I believe there might be more, I'm not sure. So, at first level, because it's a Warlock and you get your packed stuff right away, you get 2 abilities. One of them is kind of a passive sort of thing, but you can also use it in some pretty neat ways. To start off with, you get access to an extra bonus action, Hexblade's Curse. So you can choose one creature within 30 feet of you. The range is kind of short, so it incentivizes you more to just run in and hit things. They're cursed for 1 minute without any sort of concentration, and it ends if the target dies, you die, or you're incapacitated. The target itself is not affected in any way, however you get a bunch of buffs to start beating the crap out of them. For instance, you get to add your proficiency bonus to damage rolls against the target. You crit on a 19 or 20, which is fucking insane for level 1, because the only other way that you're going to get that early on is a champion fighter, which is level 3. And if your cursed target dies, you regain hit points equal to your Warlock level plus Charisma modifier. Should be around 4 or 5 to start off with, maybe a bit lower. If you're going for more of just a proper martial spellcaster. Less spells, more just using the class abilities, which is something I've seen before and it somewhat works. I had to do that in one game. It was fun, but I was crippled. But I could tank. So, you also get Hex Warrior at first level, where you get proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons, so you can finally be a ranger, because that's mainly ranger proficiencies. You can also mystically channel your will through a particular weapon, which I flavor it as just, it's kind of, you aren't controlling it, it's more of someone else, which is a neat-ass patron flavor. However, Laura Frostwalker, our fighter guy, who is also a Warlock, still just uses his old hand because his strength is 14, so he can get away with that. So in a long rest, as long as it's not a two-handed heavy weapon, you can imbue it with this little buff, where instead of using your strength or dexterity, you use your charisma for hitting and damage rolls, which is fucking cool as hell. It lasts until you finish a long rest, so basically if you don't do it after a day, then you're losing it for a day, but I'd recommend doing it every day just to check. And it specifically works really well with Pact of the Blade, where every pact weapon that you conjure, and I'll talk about the pacts soon that you can take, every weapon that you conjure just right into your hand, you can use it as your hex weapon, which is fucking cool. Just summon anything. Later down the line, you can even summon a bow that you can use your charisma to hit with. D&D 5e is so versatile, man. You get a Cursed Spectre at 6th level, which isn't fully into the whole cursing thing, because you don't really curse someone. You just kind of, well, that's up to your interpretation. So, when you slay a humanoid, only a humanoid, you can, without using any sort of action, make a spectre appear, which follows your commands. And it gets temporary hit points equal to half your Warlock level. And it works on its own turns, it has its own initiative, and gets an extra bonus to its attacks equal to your Charisma modifier. So basically it gets buffed by how good you are at being a Warlock. It lasts until your next long rest, so use this at the start of a dungeon, and you've got a Spectre buddy until it dies. And you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, which it goes against the whole Warlock thing, because Warlocks are the best with short rests along with fighters. Cursed Spectre's a weird ability, but I haven't been able to use it properly, and when I did it was kind of foolishly. I haven't properly tested it. We might find out how well that works. At 10th level you get Armor of Hexes, where we go right back to the whole cursing Hexblade thing. So this is when it starts actually debuffing enemies. So your Hexblade's Curse gets an extra benefit, so that if the target of your Hexblade's Curse runs in and they're like, rah, or if they shoot from afar and they're like, rah, you can use your reaction and roll a d6, and on a 4 or higher, so 50% chance, it misses you regardless of their roll, which is freaking cool. So basically, your cursed target is decentivized from attacking you, which can be sometimes bad because Hexblade Warriors you kind of build to be a little more upfront and able to take at least a few more hits. And finally, the Master of Hexes at 14th level, where you get probably my favorite ability from this. So when the target of your Hexblade's curse dies, you can look to someone else within 30 feet of you and be like, okay, you're next, and they get a Hexblade's curse on them, because Hexblade's curse only comes back on a short or long rest, which I forgot to mention. But now you just have it infinitely in the same encounter, and however, you don't get the benefit of reaping health from it, but in an early encounter, if you do that, doesn't matter too much. The way that this general class is built is that you want to be in the fray most of the time, but maybe within 30 feet of everything. I normally play a Hexblade Warrior unless you have perhaps a bit of fighter or paladin or maybe even barbarian in you, or ranger, sure, that you kind of stay in the middle lines and go up a little more occasionally, because most of the things that you do are based on 30 feet, and once something gets up to you, you're still potent at hitting them, because that D8 hit die is going to make you as squishy as a monk unless you take a buttload of constitution, and that's a disadvantage, unfortunately. You're still somewhat of a glass cannon, even though you're a martial spellcaster. When you go toe-to-toe with someone that starts forcing you to make strength saves, you're a little screwed. If you're building this, I definitely recommend getting a load of constitution, just for keeping yourself alive a little better. Maybe also perhaps having somewhat decent dexterity so that you can benefit from your medium armor proficiency. Even if that's that extra +1, that means coupled with a shield and perhaps scale mail, you're going to be running around with 17 AC like it's no one's business, and that's pretty freaking high for a spellcaster. Thank you for watching Subclass. Again, if you have a better name, tell me in the comments, and you also need to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because that's what you have to do. Otherwise, I always say otherwise, I always threaten you. I'm not going to threaten you this time, I'm just going to say you should do it. No threats.